And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents, once again back with another episode. With Danny Thompson and Todd Bascom, we're going to be talking NBA and NHL. Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome.
Good evening.
So I guess real quickly, I know we're tight for time because there's a lot of things happening tonight, but wanted to get this pod in. Wanted to briefly recap Canes and Rangers. Danny, what happened?
They played hockey. Series is over. Let's go to the next subject here.
Well, not so fast. I think we're scheduled to meet in about a week and a half or so.
11 days.
11 days we're scheduled to meet after your national show on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about exchanging some frozen bevs, talking about good times.
Frozen.
And I guess for the most part, downing a few and, I don't know, washing away our sorrows. But all joking aside, looking forward to seeing both of you gentlemen in less than 2 weeks. Hey, we got a great conference finals lined up. Just really quickly, want to get both of your take. We'll go East first. Rangers versus the Bolts. Who wins? Predictions? Do you see any standout players? And we'll go with Todd first.
Well, Rangers Lightning. I expect the Lightning will win. Look, I'm going to use the old wrestling adage: to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? And Tampa is the man. So until somebody comes along and actually beats them, I'm not going to pick against them. That said, the Rangers can definitely win the series. In fact, I don't think anyone would be shocked if they did. And the interesting thing is they're going to have a little more of an opportunity to do the things they want to do than they did against a team like the Canes. I think if you look back a little bit on that series, you can see that because each team did what it does so well, it often caused the other team problems. This is going to be much more open ice for the Rangers, which is what they want. Tampa doesn't necessarily use that high pressure forecheck. The problem is you've got Shesterkin, who's great, but you've got, the best goalie in the world still, in my opinion, in Vasilevsky. So they match up well. You've got superstars now in the series with Stamkos and Kucherov, and Vasilevsky, and the star power of New York. It's going to be a fun series. I would say Tampa in 7.
Danny, thoughts?
One thing we've learned about the Rangers is that you can't count the New York Rangers in this playoffs because every time you seem to count them out, they do something, and next thing you know, they're winning or they're taking the series. In the series against Carolina, they were down 3-2. They went home, and then I think what happened was the Rangers power play woke up. I want to say it was game 3 game 3 or game 4, the power play woke up, and they started scoring power play goals everywhere. They figured out how to penetrate Carolina's penalty kill, and they were able to score on special teams. Shesterkin was great in net the last couple of games. He's been great since when he got pulled in Pittsburgh in the first round. He's looked like the MVP of the league, or the reason why he was voted for the Hart Trophy. Now, to Todd's point, this is like the end game. This is the boss battle. This is what you get to the video game in for. Because Tampa is the end-all, be-all. They've been this way for the last 2 years, the most intimidating team in the league. You don't go in and beat Tampa, but the one thing the Rangers have is home ice. If you have anything that you have going for you in the series, besides a hot goalie, your 50-goal scorer has woken up because he's the Rangers' leading scorer. Chris Schneider woke up. He had 2 goals in Game 7. He's looking like the guy that, like I said, put 50 goals in that, redirecting pucks in, lead the NHL in redirection goals. They've now woken up. The question is, can Tampa not only jump on the Rangers and win Game 1, but can they put that death blow before they go back home, the same way they did the Panthers? So for me in this series, I know Vegas is picking the Lightning, but there's something about this Rangers team. There's just something I can't put my finger on. Why are the Rangers still in this playoffs? I'm going to go on the limb. I'm taking Rangers in 6. Something about the Rangers. They showed in the Carolina series. They've shown that when they get down in series, or if they get in a situation where they feel like their back's against the wall, something snaps. Injury Sidney Crosby in round 1, the offense in round 2, something's going to click, and this feels like Mark Messier is going to have his hands full picking the Cup Finals. That's all I'm hinting at right now. But I'm taking Rangers in 6. I think the Rangers goalie is better than the Lightning goalie right now. So Shesterkin's going to be better than Vasilevsky. I'm taking Rangers in 6.
Todd, any rebuttal?
I don't agree at all that Shesterkin's been better than Vasilevsky start to finish. I mean, Shesterkin's done what he's done. But again, Vasilevsky's the best in the world. So until Shesterkin actually does beat him, I'm not going to say he will. There's no evidence that I've seen in his game that makes me think otherwise. Now, the Rangers can, because of the game they play, can take a lot of things out of his hands if they get that puck movement side to side that they're so good at. Deflections, things like that. That's how you're going to beat a guy like Vasilevsky. He sees the puck, he's going to stop it. So they need that. They need Kreider to be the guy in front of the net redirecting pucks. They need odd man rushes that they're so good at. They've got a lot of shorthanded goals. They're good at creating that shorthanded, even though we haven't seen it yet. So what Danny is saying is not something at all that would shock me. The thing is, anything can happen in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Who's just gonna? I mean, you know, the Rangers are kids, youngest team in the playoffs. Who's gonna know how they're gonna keep? I mean, they've been stepping up, the kids more and more, but you know, that Tampa's a beast. So we're gonna see.
Okay. Thoughts on Avalanche and Edmonton Oilers? Danny, I'll let you start off first.
You know, I was telling me and Ted were talking about this off air, like I think it was 2 days ago, and I compared this series to what we're going to get in the NBA Finals. We talk about duos, you know, how great duos are, and for those who don't watch the NHL, watching Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid together is almost like watching the Splash Brothers. Like those two play off each other so well. Like it's like a dynamic duo that is just on a different level. They're just entwined with one another. And then you have the Colorado duo of Nathan McKinnon and Kadiri, the two centers in Colorado, that remind me of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum a bit because they're younger guys. They don't play on the same line, but they play different positions. They play in different lines, but they can affect the game in multiple ways. Kadiri had a hat trick right after having the racial incident in St. Louis. He bounced back and got a hat trick the next game. He's one of their leading scorers. I think he had like 90 points. I think 80 or like close to 90 points in the regular season. McKinnon was over 100. Expect it won't be as much goals as the Battle of Alberta, which is what still be to me. It might be the best hockey series I've seen in this decade. But like the Rangers, there's something about Edmonton. And this Edmonton team, they score a lot of goals. They have solid goalkeeping, but most importantly, I think they have home ice. I like the Oilers. I think Draisaitl and Connor McDavid will get into double digits separately in the points. I think they'll get another double-digit point series like they did last one. And I'm taking the Oilers in 6. Same way I took the Rangers. I love Draisaitl and Connor McDavid together. So give me those two. And I think you'll have a big series from Evander Kane and another one from Darnell Nurse and the emergence of somehow Duncan Keith coming from the ashes. Give me the Oilers.
Todd, what's your take?
You know, I'm loving this discussion because it's a perfect illustration of two kind of differing views on something. Danny has mentioned the Rangers and the Oilers. They're pretty much, you know, kind of the same team in that they're on this quote unquote magic run, right? So it's interesting that you pick both those teams. And me as the hockey guy, I'm looking at who I think are the better teams.
The favorites.
Right. And Colorado to me is clearly, well, I'm not sure I would say clearly, but they are the better team. They should win. And everything about what I've seen makes me think they will. But when you put that magic run thing on it, you know, 40-year-old goalie, you know, best player in the world, in my opinion. So it's kind of hard to describe a team like that as an underdog, but they've kind of got that same feel like the Rangers do. So, you know, I know it sounds kind of silly, but I can't say that's crazy. I mean, I'll pick Colorado in 6, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Edmonton win it in 6 themselves. So, you know, it's just we're gonna see which side of that, you know, where the evidence starts to skew after we watch these two series. I think.
I think Connor McDavid, like, you know, we were talking about earlier, but we didn't mention, you know, Nathan McKinnon. You got Kadiri. Colorado has their share of guys that can score the puck too. Like they have, and the thing is, Colorado is balanced compared to most teams in the playoffs, and that's a good thing. But it also can be a thing in the playoffs that can also hurt them. Ask what Carolina did. Carolina was balanced all season, but when you're balanced all season, you end up not having that guy that can carry it. In the case of Colorado, you know, McKinnon, you have Landeskog, you have Kadiri. They have guys that can put the puck in the back of the net, and Cale Makar is one of the best, if not the best, offensive defenseman in the league. So Todd's right. You know, you look at Colorado on paper, they're stacked to win the cup. There's a reason why Vegas has them as the odds-on favorite of the Final Four teams to win the cup. I mean, it's almost even money in Vegas that Colorado wins the cup right now. I think I was looking at it before we went live, Ted and Todd. I think Colorado is at plus 100. They're basically almost even money to win the cup right now.
Wow.
So Todd's not wrong because even Vegas believes that Colorado is the team to win it all. So, but there's something about Rangers and Oilers. We never got it. Mark Messier is going to have to figure out ESPN who's going to win the cup here. And it's plus 1,400 in Vegas. Like, who doesn't want to bet on something that's plus 1,400 for the cup finals right now?
Right. And I think you mentioned Mark Messier is in a predicament because all season long he was predicting the Lightning.
Yep.
And last night he does the who's a great political flip flopper?
Paul Pierce, Kendrick Perkins.
And he's going with Rangers, and I'm like,
well, let me defend Messier here a minute.
Okay.
It's like I was just saying, and if anybody does, he knows. So right. I think he's latching on to that. Wow, this team has something. This team is special, even though they may not be the best team on paper. This team has that will make that. I think he's in tune to that. And I get it. I mean, gee, what else can you say? If anybody knows, it's him. So
that's true.
if that's the way he feels, and I'll defer to that. I mean, he's forgotten more about the game than I ever knew. So he knows what those locker rooms are like. So I'll defend him on the flip flop for that reason. He clearly thinks they're on to something.
I wonder who Gretzky's going to take. If it's Oilers and Rangers in the Cup Finals, who is he taking? I would love to see both of them in the same in the commentary experience together. Messier and Gretzky trying to figure out who is going to
be awesome.
Yeah,
to pick who wins the cup.
Yeah,
but to watch, Draisaitl and Connor McDavid play together reminds me of watching Messier and Todd's a little more I am. But if you think about the Oilers in the '80s, when you had Messier and you had Gretzky on the same power play line, if I'm correct, Todd, they were on the same power play line, and it was just almost impeccable stopping that entire power play line. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah, I mean they were just a complete, like, they may be one of the more complete teams I've ever seen play, based on how I was taught hockey was supposed to look like. They may be one of the more complete teams I've seen. And you got to, and the irony of that is I think the 94 Rangers are another example of that. When you look back on hindsight, again, not a team on paper that may have been the best or considered the best, but they definitely latched on to something and made that magic run, and that means a lot in hockey. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch both series. It's what you want as a fan.
It's true. I'd like to say if we do get Rangers Oilers, it's going to go through the roof, and hopefully a couple of those games that carried this year on ABC. Danny and I were chopping it up behind the scenes to say next year, the off year, I think years 2, 5, and 7 are the Turner Sports years. Todd, would it make sense, and this is totally ripping the question out of Danny's mouth, for Turner to partner up with a broadcast partner, a network TV partner, to air the Cup?
You mean like CBS or
right? Since they have a already partnership due to the NCAA.
Oh, sure. Why not? If they could figure out a way to do it. Look, I'm of the opinion the more eyes get on the sport, the better. Right. So if they can do that, good. I say they should.
I'm all for. I was telling Ted, we had to have the conversation. I'm all for a double cast of the Cup Finals. You throw even if it's just games 3 and 4, for example, on CBS, because it's going to be during the week. You have one broadcast, the main broadcast on CBS, but then you have a player's audio version on TNT where you get Gretzky and you get Anson Carter and you get basically their studio guys to go in depth or get a set of players. Maybe get PK Subban, who I love on ESPN. Get some of those guys in together to go over the game live from a player's perspective. We already got the main broadcast. We got a player's eye for what they see out there.
You mean similar to what they're doing with the with baseball, with the K-Rod, A-Rod and Michael K?
Yeah. K-Rod.
You mean something like that, like a cast?
Like a Manning cast, we see with the Mannings.
Yeah.
That way you can even did it during the women's tournament when they had Diane Taurasi and Sue Bird during the women's Final Four. And the best part, I think they had the best one because they were drinking the entire time on camera. DT and Sue were literally drinking wine all throughout the Final Four, and they were just slurring words the entire time, which was great television for 5 hours during both games of the Final Four.
Nice.
And they're probably still talking some good basketball.
They were talking good basketball, but the slick, because Diana has a slick mouth.
Right.
For those who don't know Diane Taurasi and Sue Bird, they have slick mouths, and they know how to say things without the FCC picking up on things. There was a couple of instances where, like, Sue would just look into the camera and just grab a bottle and took it right to the head because Diana said something off the rail.
Oh boy. I got to. So
hey,
they
we're going
that
to segue real quickly to
women's Final Four.
The women's Final Four.
Okay. All right.
We're going to segue quickly to NBA Finals, C's and dubs. Danny, we'll let you lead off. Give us your take. Who wins? Who loses?
Wow,
what really needs to happen? And bonus question, since everyone likes talking about this stuff, dynasties. If the Dubs win, does this solidify their dynasty?
All right, so I'll start with that question first. Winning the championship, we'll consider this to be a dynasty because it's 4 championships in 8 years, 6 finals, and COVID. So yes, if they win it, it's a dynasty. Because you got to think the Bulls dynasty in the 90s still had that 2-year impasse where they didn't go to the finals because Jordan went to play baseball and then the comeback year. So yeah, I would consider it a dynasty. Now, how the series looks on both ends. If you're a Celtics fan, how they win the finals is, number one, Marcus Smart needs to stop shooting the basketball in the final 2 minutes of games. Okay, he's going to be left wide open throughout the series. Let Jason Tatum and let Jaylen Brown do all the heavy lifting at the end of games. But the Celtics are made to beat the Warriors because Marcus Smart can guard Steph Curry. Marcus Smart, if has to, can go out there and guard Klay Thompson if they need it. I don't think they will. Jason Tatum can do things on the other end. But what they need to figure out is if Al Horford doesn't hit shots, who is going to be that guy? Because if Al Horford is not hitting shots, he's almost unplayable when they go small. Is it going to be Robert Williams? Or is it going to be Daniel Tice? How much we're going to see Grant Williams in the series when they decide to go with their quote-unquote death lineup and they go with the Splash Brothers and Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins with Draymond Grant Center? How much we're going to see Grant Williams in the series and his three-point shot going to work? On the other end, Stephen Curry just has to play basketball. I feel like he's going to be under so much pressure to get that Finals MVP because if he doesn't win, the pitchforks are coming for him. You can't go 0 for 4 with 4 rings and no Finals MVPs and talk about being in the top 10 all time. He might rush himself in the series. The Warriors are playing great basketball, but I'm going to take the Warriors in 6. I don't feel confident in this being 6. But if Boston wins, Boston only wins in 6. They will not close the series out anywhere in Oakland. I'm leaning towards 5, but I'm going to say Warriors in 6. Curry's the Finals MVP. He gets the monkey off his back. The Warriors will celebrate a championship on the Celtics' home court. They won't do it at home. They'll do it on their home court because they will not allow Game 7 to happen in Oakland. They don't want another Game 7. They'll close in 6.
What's your take, Todd?
Well, simply put, I mean, I think the last time we did this, I picked this final.
Todd's winning all week, ladies and gentlemen. He's here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Bets.
But, so I'm going to stick with the Warriors. It's interesting because now, not being the basketball guy, I'm flip-flopping on the side where I feel like Golden State might be a little bit of a team of destiny. And I'm not sure. Everybody, I've heard this discussion about Steph being in the top 10 for the last couple weeks and stuff. I mean, I'm not sure there's any evidence he cares about that. Other than it's like talk radio fodder. But I mean, and if you know different, let me know. But I don't see any reason why he won't just go out there and play basketball and do his thing. I don't know that he's worried about, well, I got to win this MVP or nobody will think I'm top 10. I don't see any evidence he cares about that. So I'm going to say he goes out, does his thing. Warriors win in 6.
I'm going to follow you up, Todd. Definitely Dubs in 6. Would I be surprised if the Celtics take it to Game 7? Not necessarily, because I think if they're going to talk about passing the torch, definitely you can see, because, Danny, how many years did we have to hear Brown and Tatum can't play together?
We were hearing that up through December. Like they were like trade one of the two in December.
Right. When they were
And fire
18 and
Udoka.
21,
And
when they
fire
were
Udoka.
18 and 21, everyone was like, break them up. They can't do it. All the above.
Yep.
Then it was just a house of fire.
They just keep winning.
It's just the fact of you when you have a brand new head coach and trying to get those guys together. Jason Tatum was coming back from the Olympics. It's been a long year for him. You know, it's an adjustment period. People think that when a new coach comes in, it's automatically going to work the second it happens. A lot of times it happens throughout the course of the season. In the case of the Celtics, to Todd's point, they started believing themselves and they caught fire. They made sure that it was set for them to get a certain bracket in the playoffs. We saw what Milwaukee did the last day of the season. It allowed Boston to do what they needed to do to jump where they had to go. And Boston, you got to think Milwaukee, I guess it's karma. Milwaukee they ducked the last game of the season, so they avoided Brooklyn. So you thought Boston could get taken out by the Nets. And what happened? Not only did Boston take out the Nets, Boston also took out Milwaukee at the same time.
Right.
Because Milwaukee believed that, listen, we can go in and beat Boston. We just did. We could beat Boston, but we can't beat Brooklyn. So why? That's why they did it, and Carmen caught him at the end. Jason Tatum. If Jason Tatum wins the finals,
this is it.
We're now passing the torch.
Yes.
From Kevin Durant to Jason Tatum as the best American-born player in the NBA. That torch will be passed if they win the championship this year.
Agreed. Fully agreed.
Can I ask you a question, Danny?
Yeah.
Let's say Golden State wins.
Okay.
And we're going to call them a dynasty.
Okay.
I agree to all of that. Where do you put them as far as where the last top dynasties have been, like the Spurs, all of that stuff? Because what's impressive to me about what they're doing is they're doing it under a few different iterations, right? I mean, there's the core is there, but there's been a lot of different teams almost, like the pre-KD, now this team. How do you rank something like that? Is that something to put stock in, or?
I think, even with the teams that you look at, you consider dynasties, there have always been some interchangeable pieces that happened along the way. Like if you go back to the Bulls in their dynasty in the 90s, the first three was Horace Grant, the last three was Dennis Rodman. That's a key piece in both of those. Dennis Rodman in the second three-peat, you wasn't grabbing a rebound, and Dennis Rodman took out every single the big man on the other end of the court. I mean, ask Karl Malone how difficult it was being guarded by Dennis Rodman. Ask Sean Kemp in that finals. Horace Grant was a different story. He was a different type of player. Yeah, the Warriors had KD in two of those championships. And actually, in three of those years, they got to the finals. They had KD. But in the other championships, it's been Steph, it's been Clay, it's been Dre. The first year was Iguodala playing a huge role in that championship year the first time around. Now it's Andrew Wiggins taking the Iguodala role this time around. I would say this. Among dynasties, if the Warriors win this, I think they're better than the San Antonio early 2000s teams with Duncan and Parker, Ginobili, those three. I think they're better than – because I can't consider the Lakers a dynasty at the end of the 2000s. I don't think they're better than the Bulls. I still don't think they're better than the Bulls because they were 27-1 in the playoffs with that group. I would say they would basically give the Lakers and Celtics the A's a run for their money. I think they really could probably beat both of those teams because of the Steph Curry factor. But I think they are right there as one of the two or three greatest dynasties in the modern era of basketball. So from, I'd say, the 70s on, they're probably two or three. Only because the Bulls technically lost one playoff series, and that one playoff series they lost with Jordan on the court is because he only played 25 games after taking a year and a half playing baseball
against the Orlando Magic. Yes.
Yeah, and they turned back around and swept them the next season.
Yep.
Can I ask one more question real quick?
Go ahead.
Question / hot take. Do you agree? And yes or no? Do you agree that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter ever?
It's not even close.
Okay.
Do cats meow? Do cats meow?
Okay. If he is the greatest shooter ever, how could he not be in the top 10 of all-time great players?
At this very point, because when you look at the 10 greatest players of all time, when you look at everything on the mantle, they all have the same things. Curry is missing the finals MVP. That proves that he was the best player of his team when it counted the most in the finals. Every player in my top 10 has that. They have it. You have to have it. It's the last part of the medal ceremony, the Boy Scouts. In order to get that part of VIP in the club, you gotta have the finals MVP. Once he gets the finals MVP, we got the conversation.
All time.
Listen, you can be the greatest shooter of all time, but when you're not the best player in a championship run, quote unquote, because I don't count that Magic Johnson Western Conference Finals MVP that he just got last week as an award. That doesn't count. You got to do it in the finals.
Will it count in 5 years?
No. Because guess what? The players previous to that, the players we talk about in the top 10, this didn't exist. Okay. It didn't exist in the 80s. It didn't exist in the 90s. The guys that the awards were named after were guys that played in the 80s. No. In 20 years, yes. But in current iteration, no. But Curry has a conversation. He gets that. He holds that Finals MVP trophy. He will be in that conversation for top 10. I'll let him in that club.
Who you taking out?
I think once he gets that one, he's top 12. So he's right there in the Kobe Bryant, Oscar. He's in the Kobe Bryant line at that point, where Kobe, Olajuwon are in that 9, 10, 11, 12 mode.
Watch out now. Talking about Akeem.
I mean, he's right there. I mean, when I look at the top 8, I think the top 8 is basically universal. I think you're looking at the 5 centers. We're talking Olajuwon. We're talking Cap. You're talking Cap, Shaq, Russell, Chamberlain, Olajuwon, I think are right there. Then you have Tim Duncan. You have Kobe. You have MJ. You have Bird, Magic. And Braun. So that's 9. Like those 9 are basically legitimately set. And then we're talking Kobe, we're talking Curry, Oscar. We're talking those guys in the next set. And I think Giannis is right there with those guys. Giannis is right there because he's only 27, but he's already hit the Grand Slam. Finals MVP, regular season MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's got the most dominating championship performance in a closing game I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
He's hit all of them, and he's only 27.
So what if he only keeps the 1 ring, though?
The fact of you're one of 2-3 players in the history of the league to be MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same time, only Jordan and Olajuwon did that, you're in a different type of category. Giannis is a walking version of a 2K My Player. I don't know if you play video games, but he's that guy you create in video games and you play as just as him. You max out all the stats and you run out of stats to fix 3-point shooting. He's fast, he passes, he blocks shots, he rebounds, he scores, he dunks on everybody. That's what Giannis is. He's what we all created in video games as a kid. That one guy that can't be stopped. That's what he is.
Like Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, but the difference is he's a creative player that has come to life. But yeah, Giannis is Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl walking. So, but yeah, I think Curry you can have the top 10 conversation if he gets that Finals MVP. Because like you mentioned before, it's hard to leave out the greatest shooter, and it's not even close. I mean, not only his peers, the numbers prove it to himself. He hit more threes than some teams in some years. So,
agreed. I'll save my Curry slander
for after the finals.
for hopefully if we could do this again next week, maybe by then either the finals will shake out. Really, I want to do it more for NHL Stanley Cup. Yeah, I mean it's my whole take is Curry doesn't win chips 2 and 3 without easy money sniper.
Yes, because when LeBron took Game 7 for him, what did they do? Kevin Durant went to go join the bully,
right?
His crew.
So,
I got one question for you guys. I got one question for you. Since Todd was asking questions, I think this is a question that you guys both can answer. All right, I just need one question. Your thoughts on AEW Double or Nothing this weekend? Was it too long?
I think it felt stuffed.
Yeah, it felt like, yeah. See, I'm used to them doing long pay-per-views. It's what they do. They've been doing it. The other ones, their better ones seem to have more of a flow. This one seemed like they had to put way too many matches in it. So yeah, stuffed is a good word. As long as they flow well like they usually do, I don't think it's too long.
It felt like this one was scattered. It felt like this one, you're right, Ty. It was like this one was scattered. I felt like, and just watching what I did watch, it felt like Tony Khan was like watching the matches on one screen and watching the Celtics and Heat on the other screen to figure out when to drop that last match or drop the matches to sub the last match. Because Ted, if I'm correct, Page and Punk didn't hit until technically Sunday.
That's
Eastern
true.
time.
Midnight, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And that show should have been on Saturday. If you're going to play a 9-hour show,
it should have been on Saturday. Agreed.
Well, yeah, but I think having the holiday too, is probably why they did it.
It was just, to me, it was just too long. It was too long and drawn out. But I'm glad that Athena did show up, though. The women's division, AEW, needed that.
Agreed.
Yeah, really know anything about her? She comes from WWE.
Of course. Where do you think all Tony Khan's additions come from? Tony Khan's turned to Eric Bischoff. He's just signing everybody from the WWE.
He's picking them all up off the scrap heap and just, hey,
there's only one more he needs
to contract.
There's only one more he needs to add. If he's going to take anybody else to the WWE scrap heap, there's only one more he needs to grab.
Sasha Banks.
Sasha is still under contract. Now, if wrestling can do a trade, you can trade MJF for Sasha Banks. I think both parties would be happy. But the run free agent that's still out there that they should go get, to me, is Cesaro. If they add one more, get Cesaro.
It's so funny because Brian TX, who's in the chat, was talking about Cesaro about 4 weeks ago, offline, about potentially coming to AEW.
I read something on Pro Wrestling, one of the insider pages, that his number is so high to do one-offs or shows that he's not coming in no time soon. They said they had the agreement to a show in July, and his number was too high because he said he knows what his value is and what he brings to the table. So until he gets it, he ain't showing up nowhere.
Okay.
I mean, but Cesaro, like a lot of those E guys, for the most part, they've kept their money. They paid well.
Yeah. I think the thing that if we're gonna voice our displeasure, I think the thing that upset me the most about that show was that Adam Cole Samoa Joe match. It just didn't. It only made sense that he would beat him, I guess, because they wanted to do the Adam Cole, Britt Baker, both one thing, but I just didn't buy it. It just didn't make sense to me.
But here's my question, Todd, for the rebuttal. What does Samoa Joe get from winning? Because he's got the ROH belt. As eventually Tony Khan's going to do something with ROH. What does that do for Samoa Joe if he won the Owen Hart compared to Adam Cole?
I'll keep it real. I don't like Adam Cole. I don't get why people like him. I don't think he's. But look, that's just me. So for me, it's like it doesn't make sense. Probably because I don't like Adam Cole anyway. I don't understand why he's popular. So that was my only real problem with the card. Except that you're right, the matches. I mean, it just seemed like there was just too much in it, and that it was a little scattered. Like usually their shows
Makes sense.
kind of fit together. You know,
Like
the matches kind of have a nice little flow.
the Anarchy match, for as great as it was, made no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was
Having Eddie Kingston come to the ring with the gas can.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there were some things I didn't care for. It wasn't one of their best shows for sure. It wasn't one of their best pay-per-views for sure. So
Ted, I'm sure, but they had 12 matches. They had 13 matches on the card, counting the pre-show.
Yep.
There was 13 matches.
Yes.
13.
As much as I love Hookhausen, that
we didn't need that.
That didn't need to be on a pay-per-view. You could have
No.
done that Dynamite.
Isn't he still undefeated?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's their version of Goldberg. He's going to run through AEW until...
I don't know.
I saw this. What do you guys... I know we're running close time, Ted. What do you think about this? I read this on a Twitter feed. They were saying Wardlow should be the next TNT champ or TNT champ, and make the TNT champ the precursor to getting your title run.
Yeah, like just like
I'll go with that.
You know how the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title.
Yes.
They meant something, and then that meant you were moving up, and then you were going to get world title shots. Yeah,
because I mean, I would love to see Hook get more experience in the ring, and then you have a Hook Wardlow feud with Taz behind the mic and all this.
Well, Hook has to fill out some more.
Yes, he does.
Like I said, you give Hook more. The same thing they've done with Jade Cargill, which I think they've done a good job with her by allowing her to develop into this, the TBS champion, actually making it worth something for the women. The only bad part is the main belt and the contenders aren't very contenderly. I mean, after Ruby Soho, what is there really left, honestly, star power wise?
Yeah, the women's division needs some help. It has from the beginning.
Was it smart to bring Athena in for Jade Cargill?
Well, I don't really know her, so.
Ted, what do you think about that one, Ted? Do you think it was smart to bring Athena or Ember Moon as Jade Cargill's next challenger?
Yeah, why not?
Because I mean, I'm just saying because the main, I guess my issue with AEW is the whole purpose of AEW was to make stars out of people that we're not used to seeing.
Yes,
those from other promotions, making them stars. I read something that Tony Khan, when it came to MJF, like those guys signed them to a lot of small deals to see who would stick, who would work, how it would make sense. But then they started getting these WWE cast-offs like Mark Henry. What the hell has Mark Henry done since he's gotten there?
He's just probably
the Big Show. What is the Big Show done?
And a post-game show. The
like what's the Big Show done?
Same thing.
Christian K. As much as I love Christian, what has Christian done?
Not a thing.
Now Jeff Hardy's hurt again.
Yeah.
And they had to scrap the 8-man and the 10-man tag team match because Jeff Hardy can't stop from being hurt. It's just they're taking some of these old, WWE rejects and they're like really pushing them ahead of what the whole purpose is.
Yeah, like I think
is that why Cody left, maybe?
Yeah, maybe, because I think you're on to something, because I think they should be pushing people like,
Hook,
like House of Black and Hook and all. They should be pushing them a lot more. These young, real.
MJF should have a title run by now.
Like,
maybe he will. With this whole Punk, because I kind of scared that we're going to see Punk for the next 300-400 days holding the belt.
Mm-hmm. Like you have a long run.
Yes.
Be considered the greatest AEW
Yes.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, the best AEW champion is not even on the roster right now, and that's one Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't think they'll bring him in the title hunt when he comes back.
Yeah.
They're waiting for him to, and then they're going to drop the trios belts when he gets back. Because we're going to get what we've been asking for going back to the NXT days. You know it's coming. We're going to get essentially Undisputed Era against the Elite. Think about it. All the Undisputed Era is in AEW. With the exception of Roddy Strong, O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Adam Cole are all in AEW.
Right.
When Omega returns, Omega and the Young Bucks. You already know that for the trios belt, that's already money right there. And then you heard FTR wants part of the they want the trios belt as well too.
They haven't said with who.
Todd, they can put us with FTR, and we just come in and make the pins. FTR does all the work. But
I'm really excited about this. See, not being a WWE guy, I'm really excited about this super card with New Japan.
Yes.
Was that going to be a 9-hour card? Because we just watched 6 hours of
could be.
I don't
think we'd be complaining over that one.
Yeah, like I still kind of feel like somehow, some way, they're gonna find a way to give us Okada Omega again.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think they'll get at this particular event, but
here's my question: AEW seems to do all their main events in Chicago and Vegas
at some point.
Yeah.
And now
Chicago for Punk, and Vegas is Vegas.
Is it time to establish a third market for AEW? I know they've done New York's Grand Slam. They did it, in Flushing.
Right. They're going to keep doing that now.
Okay, I consider that to be a major event.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they need one more major site to go to if they're going to do the Triangle Death of 4? Because they go to Vegas twice a year.
Then I think they should use something like Charlotte or Raleigh or something.
As much as I love Charlotte, AEW didn't do well in Charlotte when it came to compared to other cities.
I think it did pretty well here.
I think it did do well. Where was it at, Todd? Do you remember? Was it at PNC?
Where the Hurricanes play. At
PNC. Okay, so they did, because I know in Charlotte they went to Bojangles, which is the alternate arena compared to Spectrum.
Right.
Like if you do it, if you did a super show like this, would you say DC, Miami, or is going down south like in Florida dumping into WWE territory?
Nah, I could see them in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I'm surprised they haven't done anything major in Jacksonville. I think they spent so much time in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but exactly it. I think AEW fans have I know I look at it when they were doing all those shows from Daly's Place during lockdown.
And they saved a lot of money too.
And and it was like, it was kind of like that's the ECW arena. Like so I think they have every right to be in a place like that. They should do a super show from Daly's Place. There you go. They should do it from there.
I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place.
Though, but
if you've been to Daly's Place, it's inside of the Jaguar Stadium, which the Cons own. So it's literally inside the stadium. So it's a good place to put it. But I mean, for something like a New Japan card, you're going to want to put 17,000, 18,000 people in one market. Like, I just feel like they use Chicago way too much. I mean, I think in the chat, Ted, someone said Houston, Texas. TK said Houston, Texas will be a good fit. Like, you should just have a super show.
Yes. LA,
New York, someplace other than Chicago and freaking Vegas. Because if I see one more event in Chicago, I'm going to scream.
Listen, they know they can fill it. They can sell at the United Center without any issue.
Well, Ted, is this United Center or this is going to be out in the suburbs again?
Who knows?
Well, see, and that's exactly what's missing is the Southeast. You've got every other region covered. And so I think you pick a place between DC and Miami. I think
I would just say a destination where people and you plan out months in advance and get people to get out there the same way you did Double or Nothing. Everybody knows when Double or Nothing happens every year.
Right.
You know, I don't know. But like I said, I want to see what the Super Show looks like. And you're right. If we get Omega and Okada, Lord help the internet.
Yeah. We're not going to get that now, but we're going to get it. Or either we're going to get that or we're going to get the Golden Lovers back.
Or get Kenta and Punk.
Because Ibushi is apparently
not
really unhappy with New Japan.
Mm.
So if that dude ever becomes a free agent, Tony Khan better open up that checkbook some more.
Yes, use that Keith Lee money.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What do we see? And we can wrap up after this because I know everyone has something to do. What do we see if we had a crystal ball? What do we see with Tony Khan and this new Warner Brothers Discovery? Do you see AEW or Ring of Honor migrating over to like an HBO Max? Or do you see them, cluttered on TNT/TBS when, there's no specific games? Because I will tell you this much, for the people that do look at the ratings and they say, oh, AEW pulled just under 1 million. I'm like, well, it's flipping this time because the NHL and NBA playoffs take precedent to it.
I think if I put the crystal ball and I'm Tony Khan, my big thing is getting the pay-per-views off of Bleacher Report app.
Yes.
Because there's been nothing but bitching and complaining, and it is well warranted. It's 100% well warranted
too. While you at it,
they're gonna say get it off every streaming service. What you do is you put the big 5 pay-per-views on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And include it in the subscription.
Yep.
But you would charge $1 more a month for HBO Max subscribers. Just listen, you want the AEW content, you pay an additional $1 or $2 a month, and you get the 5 pay-per-views. You get what I'm saying? It allows HBO to jump into that market. You get the wrestling fans. Listen, people pay for Peacock, all right?
Yes.
They pay for the wrestling part of Peacock, and I guarantee you most wrestling fans can give 3 shits about Law and Order, SVU, or SVU reincarnated, or Ice-T looking at an SVU camera. No one cares. But if you make HBO Max $17.99 and you include all 5 major pay-per-views, which is what Double or Nothing, Ted, help me here. Double or Nothing, we're looking at All Out,
All In.
That's 3.
Grand
Slam.
Sure. Yep.
And then you put the New Japan pay-per-view as 5, and you don't exceed those major 5 because you don't want to be oversaturated, right? Like the is.
And you include the Ring of Honor library.
I think you include the Ring of Honor library, and then you guarantee Dynamite and the day after. So if you missed it, you can pick it up and watch it later.
Right.
Because because you mentioned before, the one thing that we get frustrated with, and you got to keep TNT and TBS involved because that's the major partner. If you're able to say, okay, I know we changed time spots, but after midnight, you can watch Dynamite and you can watch what's the other show? The Wednesday show. You can watch
Rampage and Dynamite.
You can watch Rampage and Dynamite at 12:01. So you can watch it on Thursday morning at 12:01. You can watch it Saturday morning at 12:01. That way, it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. You pay $3 a month. Who's not going to pay $36 a year, essentially, to be able to watch pay-per-views that you normally got to pay $50 on the Bleacher Report app, and you get HBO. You get HBO's production behind it.
Yep,
it's a win for everybody. That's my crystal ball. Todd?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about the business side of this. I think all I can say is that ECW died, and I'm a big original ECW fan. ECW eventually died for a number of reasons, but one of the big reasons was that Paul Heyman signed a terrible TV deal
Right.
with them. And I don't see, no matter what happens, I don't see Tony Khan as that guy that's going to get into a terrible deal. So I think I don't know what the crystal ball says, but I think they're going to be okay whatever happens. They're going to figure it out. And I don't see them getting into this really bad. If anything ruins AEW, it's going to be my one concern is that the roster is such that it's like a lot of people that should be getting a lot of burn you don't really see a lot of them. And now I'm getting retreads and people I don't even know from WWE because I haven't really watched WWE in 20 years. So I think that's a bigger problem for me than the TV deal, but I think they'll work that out.
The absolute last thing, and this is a quick 30-second answer. What do they do with their other two shows that are on YouTube? Do you move those also over to hypothetically an HBO Max? That way, hey, here's what I need to catch these shows on these days. That's that.
No. Because we all know YouTube, you can make money off YouTube. Keep it on YouTube because you're drawing 130, 140,000 people. And then for the people who cannot afford HBO Max, they still can get their AEW content on YouTube.
Okay.
And you're still going to get Dynamite and Rampage on cable channel, or
you still gonna get the live version on the cable channels.
Okay,
it's just the fact that you get the next day to watch it the next day because.
Got you,
Todd. You're a teacher. I think you're still teaching, right?
Yes and no.
Okay, let's just say the night you have to teach, and you can't stay up to watch Rampage. You can't catch it the next day because you can't find it.
Right.
But if you're able to get it the next day on HBO Max, you're willing to pay it because you already know you get the pay-per-views.
So they don't even have it like on demand on a like TNT app or anything?
I would have to check.
I don't think so.
They might have it on the TNT
on the Bleacher Report app, if anything.
But
the Bleacher Report app is basically the New York Mets in September most years. It ain't good.
No, it's
not.
not.
I mean, because if I miss Dynamite on like I don't like you can't get it on YouTube. So
you get clips.
Yeah, you get clips, but
you get clips, but that's it. But so if you miss Dynamite and you don't have a car or something, you're
done.
Yeah.
You're done. But hey, we went a solid hour. We're about 90 seconds away. Hey, want to give a big birthday shout out for Danny. Birthday coming up with the start of the new month. Making, I don't know, Todd, making us old guys look even older. Because this guy is 29 again.
No, I'm 39 tomorrow. 39. That's what it is.
So maybe we could do a little something next week, 30 minutes. Under the guise of it being 30 minutes, and it usually just spills over into whatever else. But looking forward to great conference finals and also great NBA finals.
Yep. I'm looking forward to watching 30 for 30, the and one special in about 7 minutes. 4 minutes?
About 4 minutes?
Yep.
Todd, best way to find you on social media?
Facebook, I guess.
Promote your don't you have a page on Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook and Instagram, I got a little beer thing called Life's Poor Decisions. That's poor, P-O-U-R. So that's just my little beer thing. Take you on a tour of breweries and beer around the state and beyond.
Gotcha.
That is.
Danny, best ways to get in contact with you?
on Twitter, as you see on the screen. Danny, just add the number 3 in the middle. Thompson on Twitter. My show is Sports Insight 757 with Jay Lee on Saturdays from 9 to 11. I'm always here at Late Night Parents. I just did an NBA draft article for the 3-point conversion this week, so you catch me in a whole bunch of places this week. So.
Oh, 3-point conversion is back. Big shout out to Raphael.
Yeah, I did. I did my guest appearance.
Gotcha. All right, gentlemen. I'm gonna talk with you soon.
All right.
Ted Hicks,
Have a great night.
Parents.
Night.